Hey everybody, Casey Transformed here again, and today I have the Transformers Generations Combiner Wars Deluxe class, Firefly. Another mouthful, but here we have Firefly. He's an update of the G1 aerialbot Firefly, and he looks freaking fantastic in all honesty. So far I have Firefly, Dragstrip, and Skydive, and all of them I'm enjoying a lot more than how I would think I would enjoy the third-party ones. They just look so nice. They're just so nice and simple yet fun. It's kind of like everything Classics always was and needs to be. Now yes, he has the typical plain thing of just having a robot basically folded up on the bottom. But it is nice and compact, and there's more to the transformation than it looks. Surprisingly. Let's go ahead and get comparisons out of the way. Here he is next to Skydive, who is basically, at first I thought he was just going to be like a major remold. But if they're remolds of each other, they're more like remolds of how Prime RC and how Generations Chromia are, where it's so much remolding that it actually feels like a completely different figure. I mean, as you can see, the planes look completely different. That and even the parts of transformation he shares with Firefly, Skydive, his joints and stuff are a lot looser with it. It could just be with mine, but his are pretty loose comparatively. And I have heard about other Skydives with loose joints. I'll talk more about that in his review. But yeah, if you're going to get one of these guys, I probably would recommend Firefly. I haven't got Alpha Bravo yet, but Firefly's just so awesome. For other size comparisons, here he is next to Optimus, the Voyager Optimus from Combiner Wars. Here he is next to Dragstrip. Dragstrip's a bit longer, but he's not as bulky, I guess. And here he is next to the Generations Legends Bumblebee. Much like there too, as you saw, he does come with accessories. He has this gun, which I don't know if this is accurate to his G1 gun or not, but it looks really cool. There's only two places to put in vehicle mode, so basically just plug it to one of his wings. And here's the cool part: is this. This is the combiner. I guess you could say limb for Superion or Ultra Prime. And what's really cool is that I knew they were going to be remolded differently from Manosaur's parts, but what I didn't know is how much different they would be from each other. This is Skydive's part. You can see it has the actual structure is exactly the same, but molding wise it's completely different. You got different details on top. The guns are completely different. I mean, they both have this line thing, but even the little aiming things you can see are a bit different. You can see this has more like a flamethrower look, while Skydive's has more of a rocket launcher look. So that's really cool. Basically, this is his gun mode. How it's different from his foot mode is that the heel's folded up. With the heel out, it's foot mode. And like this, wait a second. The fingers are really hard to get out of it. And for hand mode, you flip the fingers out. This actually kind of extends out, and you fold down the thumb, and it actually kind of locks together like that to make a really nice looking combiner hand. This is probably one of the most genius ideas for a combiner I've ever seen. They definitely learned from Fall of Cybertron Bruticus. And of course, he can also use it as a weapon. Just peg under his wing, and it looks a bit ridiculous. That's the one thing Skydive did do better. He could actually peg his on top, which still looks a bit ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as that of it just hanging under the wing like that. So, by the way, Dragstrip sword's really handy for getting those fingers out. Well, let's get you a better look at the detail. You can see just a little bit of silver paint on the front there. There's actually like a rubber nose cone on the front. The wings are beautifully done. I mean, you can see the Autobot symbol. The Autobot symbol is a sticker. You can see the lines going through it. It's actually painted on there, or at least printed on. A little bit of blue paint spilled onto there, but the paint that is on there looks really good. It really helps to break up all the red. And a little bit of silver on the vents. So yeah, not much, but just enough to look good and without overdoing it. So overall, I love his color scheme and I love his plane mode. Let's get to his robot mode. For robot mode, just take the wings, fold them back, fold up the landing gear. This whole piece, just kind of click back, fold it back like this, and click it down like that. Turn the head around, fold out the arms, and you're just going to bring them down. fold the wings back, fold that in, unclip it from there, and once you get unclipped, kind of coming back like, you gotta kind of pull it back like this, you can actually fold it down, which exposes his leg joints. Which is interesting because it's actually also a similar transformation to the drag strip, who you also just extend arms off of, but his is just a simple extending the legs. While Firefly here actually unfolds his piece and actually folds out his legs from his I guess you could say his bottom parts of his legs. It's really cool idea for a transformation. Really adds a bit more complexity to it. Split the legs after you get them all set. By the way, when you're pegging them in, this tab will tab into there, and this tab on this side will tab into here. So it kind of has like an interlocking system to keep the legs shut, which is really nice. It can be a pain in the butt to get closed, but that's just because I'm on camera, and of course when I'm on camera, I'm going to have trouble. Oh, yep. As you saw a minute ago, there's no problem. I'm just terrible with this transformation. Alright, there. Yeah, there you go. It helps to look from the inside where you can see it. And there you have Firefly. Oh, here, let's give him a look at the camera. There you go. Leering at you. So here we have Firefly in his robot mode, and he looks pretty dang good. As you can see, a lot of the paint that he didn't have in his plain mode went to his robot mode to help break up all that white. And dang, does it look good on him. He's got silver on the face, his eyes are painted blue, and they look really good. They really stand out. He never looks like he's dead. He's got silver all here, and you can see it kind of makes it look like the vents transformed into this. Nice Autobot stamp there. Blue here, blue here. That's just gray plastic, but does again help break it up. Some black vents here, and silver on the feet. So yeah, he's got a lot of paint, and it all looks really good on him. For size comparisons, here he is next to Skydive and Drag Strip. Here, let's get him in the middle so you can see all three of them together. And you can see they're basically all about the same height. I think Skydive might be a little bit taller. Oh, here, let's get it. Drag Strip to stand. His feet are a little weird. But even between, all three of these have very similar transformations, but each of them have something to kind of make it a little bit different. Dragstrip, of course, just being a car makes it a little bit different, and he has a twist at the leg here to help with the transformation. And even between these two, I thought these two would just be like major remolds, but no, the transformation's actually a bit different. The legs are mostly the same, there's just like a switch on the tab. But like the actual arm transformation, Skydive has this whole piece where his arm actually comes down and swivels around. While Firefly simply just lays down, like that. And just looking at these two, there's so much remold, like so many differences in the molding that it looks like a completely different figure. Especially if you actually splay the wings out. They don't look like the same figure at all, and they are not. These are definitely different figures. And I think he actually has the best head of the three. Speaking of faceplates, here he is next to Optimus Prime, and there you go. You can actually see he has a similar detail where he has these lines kind of going. I'm not sure the camera's going to pick that up. You can see there's those little lines kind of going across where his cheeks, I guess you could call them, would be. Similar to what Optimus Prime's faceplate does, which is kind of cool. He kind of looks like what Optimus Prime, with the red, white, and blue, he kind of looks like what Optimus Prime would look like as an aerial bot. Especially with that faceplate. That's definitely like an Optimus Prime-esque faceplate. And for one last size comparison, here he is next to Little Bumblebee. Let's get back to his accessories. Once again, he has the gun. Only places you can store them are on the wings. He can hold them just fine. And of course, he can also hold this as a giant flamethrower of death. Having both arms forward, it can kind of mess with his balance. But for the most part, he actually holds up both of them just fine. You see I'm just leaning him back slightly, and he holds them just fine. It actually kind of balances out with the kibble and these on his feet. Which actually help, because you can actually use these as the little tail wings as heel spurs to help him stand. And make some really cool poses. And look, he kind of just poses himself. Let's just look at more of those details. You can see he has like these little guns kind of molded into his hands. I think there were some kind of engines in his plane mode. He's got all this little nice detail. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up. He's got a lot of nice little detail in there. The vents are nicely detailed. He has, even where it's painted, he has little details like vents and just little exposed spots. Even under the wings, you can see some panel lining there. Just detail everywhere on this guy. That's what I'm loving about the new generations and Combiner Wars figures. Just detail wherever they can fit it, without making it look overly detailed. It's just enough to look good and not too much that it looks like stupidly complicated. Articulation-wise, his head moves. It's ball jointed. He has a ball joint at the shoulder. You can use the transformation joint to get that stem going further. He has a swivel right above the elbow. The elbow's a plastic ratchet. This one's a bit louder. He does have a swivel at the waist, but you can see it's like off center, so doing it too much can look weird. He has a ball joint at the hip, swivel right below it, and a really good 90 degrees knee, which is really excellent for posing. So yeah, he's a really good little figure. And let's not forget, he still has 2 other modes for combining. Now, I do not have what's his name? Superion, or dang it, I've actually forgot his boss's name. I'm sorry. But I don't have him to form Superion. And I don't have all the pieces to form Ultra Prime. So I'm just going to be showing the limb mode without actually putting them on. But I will compare them to the other limb modes. So let's start with his arm. If you're curious, it's easier to get him his arm and leg. His arm and robot modes are very similar, while his plane and leg modes are very similar. So since we're in robot mode, I'm going to start with his arm mode. What you're going to do is fold out of the way. You might want to turn the face around actually, so that way he's not staring up at the sky in his arm mode. As you can see there. The arms, I believe technically you're supposed to just kind of do this, but I find it better to use the stem and bring it up and then kind of just fold it. It doesn't click in, it doesn't tab in anywhere like Skydive's does, but it does kind of just hold there just fine. Then swivel this around, bring these together, and then you just take this, and once again, I'm going to use drag strip flip in here, flip the fingers out, fold the thumb out, bring the kind of middle part of the hand out, and flip this down, and then it just pegs into the bottom of his feet with that little peg hole there. And there you go. Another thing I like to do is, you're supposed to leave the wings back like this, but I like to actually fold them in, just to give it that little bit of extra color. And you can also fold these down, but I think it look better with it folded up like that. You can of course also use his feet as the front of his arm, but it kind of clashes. It kind of doesn't look like one solid arm. It just doesn't look good. So I like to just leave it like this. Maybe when I get Superion combined, I might change my mind, but just by itself, I think it looks better like this, especially on Ultra Prime. So, alright, so here he is next to Drag Strip as an arm. I'm going to just have them all be left arms so you can see they're basically the same thing. And here he is next to Skydive as an arm. Now I'm just going to put Drag Strip out of the way because there's really no... because I really want to compare these two. Now I think Skydive, the forearm, looks a bit more solid, especially since you can't see the leg pieces like you can with Firefly. But the shoulder piece, I think Firefly actually pulls off better. I don't know, just something about how the arms fold up looks better to me than how Skydive pulls it off. Even though he's actually technically more solid since his piece is actually all tabbed together. While Firefly's is just holding from the friction of his joints. But both of them actually look really good as arms. I cannot wait to put them all on Silverbolt. That's what his name was, Silverbolt for the combined form. Also in this form, he does have a peg hole there, so he actually can hold his gun. And it actually doesn't look too bad in his hand. It looks like if Superion had a pistol. So bam bam, shoot from his, yeah, there you go. He's got a lot of firepower in one hand. So yeah, that's a really nice little arm mode. And there's also another advantage to having the red part forward is that you have a double elbow joint, because you have one at his hips, but you also have one at his knees. So you can actually have more of a shooting from here look, or a reaching, trying to grab something kind of look. And you can actually kind of make it look like he's reaching out to grab something. I'll go more detail about how his articulation works later, but that's one cool thing about this. So you can actually kind of get better articulation. onto the leg mode. For leg mode, like I said, it's easier to do from plane mode, but I'll go ahead and show you it from arm mode. Go ahead and take this, fold the fingers in. They're just basically flattening out like this. Turn it like this. Fold that out. Collapse leg back in. I mean, you're basically bringing him back to plane mode. Go ahead and get the wings out of the way. Fold this in. Collapse that all together. The arms, again, you're kind of just bring it back to plane mode. The only real difference is you're going to leave the tail fins all folded up like this. You're going to collapse the wings around the arms. You're going to leave the cockpit up like that. And the only difference is you're going to completely fold this. Now, if you're like Optobotomus who likes to use this side, I recommend you flip the head around. But I actually prefer using this as the front of his foot. So, for me, it's just fine looking like this. You can see, again, the foot just uses the same peg hole and just holds like that. And it's actually pretty well balanced because of the nice little heel spur there. Let me get the other two. Okay, here he is next to drag strip as a leg and skydive as a leg. And you can see they're all about the same height. That's one amazing thing about these figures. That's probably why they all have very similar transformations. Is that way they all have about the same size so they can be swappable. And any limb can work with any other limb easily. For another size comparison, here he is next to Little Leech and Bumblebee. You can see even in limb mode, they're still taller than Bumblebee. And once again, you can see, I think Firefly looks much better as a leg because of how Skydive's wings have to fold up. I mean, you could leave them folded out, but then you have kind of wings getting in the way. But with them folded back like this, his arms are just there. Especially if you completely fold back the tail fins like this, and his arms are just there. Well, Firefly at least kind of semi-hides them, and they're not going complete all the way down. So yeah, there's that comparison, and yep, once again, feet look different. It's kind of nice to have those different moldings so you can tell who belongs to whose. Also, Skydive's heel is a lot more loose. It doesn't feel ratchet, it feels really loose, which is not good. By the way, he also has this collector's card for Firefly. Very nice artwork, really, it's sort of mostly accurate to how the robot looks, just missing some of the blue and white. But the actual how it actually looks is mostly accurate, unlike some of the other collector's cards. And here's the artwork on the box. Looks really good. I'm really glad this was the one that did not get messed up badly. And here's the back, just the usual crap. Only one I'm missing to make the Superion is Alpha Bravo, which why it was drag strip. I get that this was the wave he was in, but really you did not need to have to show him there. Stupid. But overall, do I recommend Firefly? Oh yes, definitely. If you're only going to get one of the limbs, or if you only want like one aerial bot because you just don't want them all, go for Firefly. I don't know how Alpha Bravo or what was his name, Quick Shot, or technically speaking, there's 5 aerial bots now, not counting Powerglide. Can't remember what the 4th one's name they call him, but if you're only going to get one of them, I would say go for Firefly. His colors and everything else just makes him a fantastic little figure. Definitely pick up, definitely recommend. Don't miss out on him. I'm Casey Transformed, and I'm out of here.